Was it a 9mm?
Give me a look.
I mean, it's working, ain't it? Taking them off, ain't it?
6. Oh, no, it's a 9.
It's a 9. Well, we're tearing this thing down, and I know y'all don't care to see another car get torn down, so we're gonna get to a certain point, and then I'll start recording again, where I start cutting, and everything that y'all are gonna have to do to convert your coupe into a fastback. So, man, little man, we're gonna continue. I'm gonna blow all the front end of this car apart because I gotta replace this cowl upper and lower also because it's in bad shape. I don't know if y'all can see this, but you'll see all these dents and stuff in it. It's not really the dents it's worrisome. It's in bad shape. Got a big hole there, but the whole underside's right off and gone. So we gotta put an upper and lower cowl. So I gotta remove the front fenders. This is gonna turn into a big job, but hopefully we can get it done in about 4 days. All right, we spent about an hour and 45 minutes tearing it down. I had a couple of stubborn bolts. Well, no big deal. I've realized now that this thing's took a pretty good whacking at some point. All this is damaged. I'm gonna talk to this fella and see what he wants to do. I'll probably take this tank off, do a little hammer and dolly, straighten it out the best I can. But I mean, none of this stuff right here was in our little agreement. So, that needs to be replaced. Technically, that needs to be replaced, and of course, air sport plane needs to be replaced. But we ain't talking about none of that. But I am going to replace the upper and lower cowl. Look at this. Somebody sure did love silicone. This thing is made out of silicone. This old car is rougher than... It's rougher than a night in jail, fellers. Alright, guys. Just like on the other videos. Don't worry about cutting the bottom. Halfway between your gasket. Between the bottom and the top side of your gasket. Go right down the middle of it. Cut it. All the way down to the bottom. Then come on the inside and cut it this direction. And then you can just peel it off. And you gotta worry about cutting the bottom. Make sure you go from here all the way around from that side, and then you can just go in on the inside of the car with your palm of your hand. Let's try it now and see what it does. Oh yeah. Now since you ain't gotta worry about the bottom, just reach, grab the top, and just pop it out. Easy peasy. Oh, gasket right there was original to the car. It's never been out. It was dried up, fellers. Alright, so now we're going to start cutting on this car. And I'm going to show you exactly where I usually start my cuts. And I don't see why in the world it wouldn't work out for you guys too. So, this is what I do. I'll rest my sawzall blade right here on this top of the edge right here. And I'll go straight back all the way down to this point right here. You want your sawzall blade to end up coming right through this little valley right here. So it cuts right off the top. And then, once you get that cut made, you're going to come right here. Right here where this starts to roll. You're going to go right in the middle of that. And you're going to cut straight up at an angle. Just like this. You're going to cut all the way through the inner structure until you feel it start getting easier to cut. And then you're going to stop. That means you're all the way through your inner structure. You want to take your headliner out though. This one's got the headliner in it. I got to dirt the headliner out of this thing. Okay guys. So there's going to be a wire in here that you're going to want to take loose. You don't want to cut through your wire. And it is for your dome light. We won't be reusing this dome light, but we will be when we get our car fastbacked and all painted up pretty. We are going to want to reuse this wire to supply our interior panel lights. So if you go back with coupe interior, you will have, I got headliner here. You will have your rear interior panels right here. Zoom. So you'll put, if you go back with coupe interior in your fastback, you're going to have your rear interior panels. Well, originally you had your window crank that come through the hole right here, and you had an interior screw right here. So what I like to do is, they make LED lights that will actually pop into those original holes that was on your interior panels. And what you can do is, you can tee off on this wire right here. You can on your light, you'll have 2 wires. On your LED light, one wire will ground to your car. The other wire will just simply tie into this wire right here. It is blue with a black stripe, I believe. Let me just make sure I'm telling you right. No, it's black with a blue stripe, I believe. Yep, so you're going to look for a black with a blue stripe. This wire right here is your interior light. So when you open your door, your light comes on. So you don't want to cut this wire off. It's too short. You want to leave it long like this. And you're just going to fish it back through here and get it safely out of the way. Alright guys, so I'm going to show you the tools that you need to do this job. Some of them is kind of optional, but most of them is you really need them to do this job and do it, let's say, correctly or comfortably. Let's say comfortably, because you could do it with, like, let's say like a hammer and a chisel, but man, you'd be working yourself to death. So I'm going to show you what you got to have. So most importantly, you need a tape measure. This is just an El Cheapo from Harbor Freight. This is optional. It's a flat. I use to go in between welds and knock the welds loose after you drill them. So like some kind of flat chisel and a hammer. This is something else that's optional. You don't have to have this. This is a hole punch. It's also, I think it's an old school Harbor Freight. It works really good though. But if you don't want the hole punch, I mean, you can simply drill holes with your drill. 1/4 inch drill bit, do the same thing. So this is optional. You don't need a hole punch. Use a drill to drill your holes. This is just some things I use. You've got your 4.5 inch cutter discs. Make sure you don't get the ones that's designed for concrete. They need to be made for steel, or I can't see what that says, but you need ones that's for steel. And flapper discs. This is the easiest thing to use to grind down your welds. A rock or flapper discs. Another option is get you some Rollocks discs. These are 3-inch discs, 36 grit. You can use them on your little handheld grinder. I didn't bring it out here, I should have. This is the bestest friend you'll ever have. Get you a either a battery powered or a cord type angle grinder like this. You put your death wheels on it. You can put your flapper wheels on it. This is the most important tool that's in my toolbox right here. It is the air chisel, and this is Ingersoll Rand. You can pick this up at Tractor Supply. Get it offline. You can go get you a cheaper version of this at Harbor Freight or Northern Tool, or I think you can get a Campbell Housefield version of this at Lowe's or maybe Ace Hardware. The bits that you're going to be needing for this, you only need 2. When you buy these bits, they come in like a kit, but really all you need is a flat top chisel like this. Come on, camera, zoom out. Just a flat chisel. And you need a ripper chisel. See the way it's made? It's made to go in there and cut this metal. Part number on this particular one is 91250. And it comes from S&G Tool Aid Corporation. O'Reilly Auto Parts ordered this for me, because I broke my other ones. Another option, instead of using a drill bit, I just use a drill bit to drill my welds, my holes that I'm going to weld through. But if you're drilling out spot welds, this is your best friend right here. I picked this right here up on Amazon. I was kind of skeptical because I thought, man, I've used other cutters and they were all garbage. This one's actually good. This is spring loaded. Technically, you should just be able to push this down and cut your welds. But what I like to do is, I will go around and I'll find all my spot welds. I'll mark them with like a Sharpie. Then I will go in there and find the center of them, and I'll drill out the center with a 1/8 drill bit. Then I will come in here with this little tool, and this center part will go right through that hole you just drilled, and it'll cut that spot weld like butter. I've used one cutter on 2 cars already, and it's still going strong. It's still just as sharp as it was. It's a good little friend. It also comes with a bit, a drill bit, but I don't know where it is. It got lost. Next tool is, you're gonna need some kind of nut driver like this. Phillips head. I use Phillips head screws. You could use the 5/16 head or 1/4 inch head screws. Ooh, this is a 1/2 inch long. This is the most common ones I use. 1/2 inch long. Come on now, zoom out. It's self-tapping 1/2 inch long Phillips head, and the 1 inch long self-tapping Phillips head screws. You pick those up at your local Lowe's or Ace Hardware, and they're cheap. I mean, they come in like a pack of 100 or a pack of 500 or something like that. So you'll need you some type of screw gun, Phillips head bit. You'll need a drill, at least a 1/4 inch drill bit, and you will need a 1/8 inch drill bit if you use your cutter. You're going to need your tape measure, your hammer. You're going to need a sawzall. You could go aggressive with it and get one of these bad boys. It'll rip through it real quick. Or you can get one that's a little bit easier on your hands. It's got a little bit finer teeth. And you really want one that's a little bit longer. This is a long one. It's plenty long enough. You want a long one because you want to be able to go all the way through both inner and outer panels. If you get a short one, it's going to be cut the outside and beating the inside part to death and bending your blade up. So make sure you get a long one. Short one will work, but you got to keep this right here rested really firm against the body. So that's it, fellas. Really all you need. A sawzall, a nut driver, a drill, some kind of grinder. And here comes the rain. Woo, boy. Alright guys, we're going to make our first cut. Remember, we're going to keep it on this parallel right here. It can get a little violent. Really need some ear protection. You know something? This is probably the most important tool in my toolbox. I know I said the air chisel, but it's probably this one. So you need some ear protection and you need some eye protection. You don't want to go to bed at night and hear nothing but ringing in your head. I don't know what that is. Silicone. Okay, now we're ready to go. So, we'll just let it lay right there. And keep her straight. And we're going to cut this baby in two. Yep, we're straight. What I like to do is let the sawzall rest right against this top right here. Have y'all noticed I stick my tongue out a lot? I go. That's when you know some major stuff's about to happen. Now when you get to this point right here, you want to make sure that your sawzall blade is right above the package tray. In this case, it's actually going under the fabric. So I'm going to show y'all what I'm talking about real quick. If I can. Do you see how the sawzall blade is right above that material on that package tray? We want to make sure we follow that straight back. We don't care about that material. It don't matter. What I like to do is come around like this right here. baby's rotten. Ever notice how it's harder to cut rotten stuff? Just like that, we're loose. See that? Now what we'll do is we'll go to the other side and we'll do the same thing. Same cut. Rather than show y'all that cut, I'm going to go ahead and go over and do that cut. And then I'll show you the next cut. As a matter of fact, I'm going to go ahead and show you this cut right here next. So what we're going to do is, put y'all right here. Right there where it starts to roll down. We'll go right in the center of that. Usually there's a seat belt bolted right there, but for whatever reason this didn't have no seat belt. It got nothing. Some of them has a seat belt right here. So we're going to go right in the center. And we're going to cut it straight. Well, it's kind of up towards like 1 o'clock. It got easier, so I know I'm all the way through. So now we got that cut, we got that cut. So now I'll go to the other side and I'll do the same thing. And then the next step will be air chisel. Next step is to take our air chisel. So what I'm going to do is, right above the drip rail, I'm just going to start nibbling it away. I'm going to go all the way around. And I'm going to come right above where the windshield would have went. And then we'll worry about getting the rest off later. It's a lot easier to get the big stuff out of the way first. We got to make sure we're not cutting into the inner structure. And then ain't no good. I'm going to show y'all just how rusty this roof was. You see all that? That bit basically just ripped straight through that rust. Roof skin on this car was done. Somebody's just bondoed it up and said a prayer, I guess. You cannot fix rusty roof skins. I don't care who says they can fix them. It don't matter how good a welder you are. It will always come back. This bit, it's not exactly right on both sides. That's all I get, I guess. Right above where the windshield would have been. We'll go right around that. Set y'all over here out of the way. And we're making sure we only cut through the roof skin, not the inner structure. Let's see if I can go all the way across from that one to the other side. Sometimes I can reach all the way across. It's hitting those little dowels that your windshield clips go onto before it's kicking it out. That can be a booger. Go to the other side and we're going to do the same thing. Check out how much rust is in this thing. My cutter won't even cut it. It's just ripping it. See that? This car is no good. This getting a new lease on life by being a fastback. This is not a rotisserie deal. This is a weekend warrior right here. Something that you guys can do in one weekend. Very limited skill. You can do this in a weekend. Chelsea, if you have somebody help you. So now we have switched to our flat chisel. We're going to go around. We'll show you what I'm talking about. To start off with, what I normally do, so we're taking this thing apart in little increments. So start with what I do is I'll put my air chisel right between this and your outer skin, and I'll basically just zip it off right in between that all the way around. Later on, we're going to take this part off because this is actually a drip rail right here. It probably ain't going to take much to get it off because it's already rotten. Alright. One old rusty girl. You probably won't have gloves on too because tongue stuck out again. Okay. Right here in this area, you're going to be thinking, well, where's the windshield post stop and the drip rail start? Right here is where the leaded joint is. So what you're going to do is just cut it straight down, and then we're going to zip this straight off, and then this lead's going to start showing itself all on its own. What I like to do is, I'll put the air chisel right here, pull the trigger a couple times, shock it loose. Whoa, it shot plumb through it. Okay, so what we done is we just shocked that drip rail and we pushed it down some. Sorry, I'm jarring y'all all over the place, I know. Back on hoses, moving y'all around. Like I said, shock it down a little bit. I'm not even trying to go through it, it's just going through it on its own. It's so rusty. You don't want to go all the way through it. Hey Ellie, where you been, honey? Where you been? You been playing with Cece? I ain't got no ball. Now what you're going to do is, you're going to try to get in up under the rail and the windshield post. We're going to open the door to get the vent out of the way. This is what we're going to do. Rip rail, cut into the windshield post. I know I'm hitting y'all, I'm sorry. Let me get y'all so I can show y'all what I'm doing. think I can do it one-handed. So y'all see where I've got it in between the drip rail and the windshield post? See? Just cutting her loose. This old car's so rusty, it don't take a whole lot. Get it loose. We're gonna go right in here, stock it down, pull it down. Now we're in between it. That lead's fixing to start showing its ugly face here in a minute. Almost got it. Okay. Now we're going to shock this down. We're going to get in under it. That just helps you get in under these panels. See that? You just want to get right up against that weld and blow it loose. No big deal. Now, you can kind of start seeing our joint where our lead would be. Man, look at there, what a hole. Lord have mercy, we definitely got to weld that up. Oh, this car's turned into a nightmare. So I'm going to show you where our lead is. Now, we are going to come right under this panel. Start shocking her loose. Y'all see that fall off? I don't know where it went. Where did it go? Well, that was our big old chunk of lead. Oh, man. And one of them cicadas. Oh, wife's calling me, fellers. We got to try to get that metal off around the windshield frame now. I don't mean try. We're going to do it. Not without my ear protection, though. What I like to do is come in behind the outer the skin and the inner structure. I'll just shock it a little bit. Okay, we got it shocked loose for the most part. Now we gotta go and get up under these welds. Now you can use your spot weld cutter that I showed you earlier, and go through there and drill out those 5,000 welds. Or you can use your air chisel. Makes your life a lot easier. I very seldom ever use the spot weld cutter. Once I absolutely have to. Usually once you get them going, they'll just keep popping loose. I'll try to zoom you on in a little bit. Oh, where'd you go? I know you really can't see nothing. I really need a light. We're going to see if we can just pop them loose without drilling them out. We're going to hold it at an angle kind of like this right here, about a 45-degree angle. There it goes. Okay, I'm going to trim that part off so it gets out of the way. And we'll get us another bite on it. Popped right up. Probably didn't see it, but it did. Just want to hammer right up against that weld until she pops loose. Get tangled up. Little Rolex disc will make some light work of that. We have to drill out no welds. Easy peasy. Easier. You can go here and clean this up. Your new drip rail actually goes right back over the top of this, so it's not like there's going to be an open hole there. Now, depending on which rear upper panel you use, we want to save this piece. I save this panel, and I use it for bracing up the trunk hinges later on, depending on what the customer wanted to go with. Alright, so now we are ready. Look what my little boy did. We are going to cut the quarters off. So what we're going to do is we're going to come up here to the corner, where our back glass used to be, in the corner. So we're going to come straight back. This point right here, right in the middle, where it starts to roll down. Actually, we're going to come up to where it stops right here. But I'm just going to cut it off for here now. We can always trim it later. So we're going to come straight back, all the way to this point right here. We're going to cut it right there. Straight line. I say straight line, crooked line, but from there to the center here, that's where we're going to cut it. And eventually we're actually going to cut it straight across right here. So all that'll be left will be this and this. All this will be cut off. All this will be cut off. You don't have to replace these. If these are good on your car, you can actually use these. But what you'll have to do is, you'll have to cut you a slit in it right here. All the way up to here. You'll have to, whenever you cut it, make sure you don't cut it too short. Cut it like right in here. So this will be gone all the way up. Cut it with your cutoff wheel or something. Come around here, come around here, down, and then you're gonna cut it beside it, straight down. So, and under the quarter pound, that's what it looks like. Solid, solid, solid. Comes up in under the quarter, and it goes in under this quarter. So if you're going to reuse this, make sure you don't cut it no further than that. Oh, but we're not going to use them, so we're going to take it loose from the tail light panel, so all this has got to go. And it comes loose right here. There'll be a couple spot welds here. There'll be about 4 or 5 right here. Right in here. So we're going to take all them loose. Something else you really want to make sure you do is make sure that your wires are not up high. You want to make sure that you're not going to be cutting into any of your wires. So your wires are going to be laying down beside your wheel tub, right where you're going to be cutting. So make sure your wires are pulled up off of your wheel tub. Alright, so we're going to make a cut straight back right here. Man, it makes my nose itch. What's up, guys?
I figured out how to play a card and fill in the name.
What?
We need to tell you something, and I figured out how to play a card and fill in the name.
Cool. What you need, tell me, buddy.
I want to talk to Soph's name.
We'll go to Nana's. She's over there. You want me to take you?
I'm showing Dad all the stuff I got. Dad, I got this 90-volt thing. And I was going up in the air and I was doing...
Okay. Well, do you need to go get it? You want me to take you to Nana's?
Yep. Can I go... You take me to the house first?
Yeah, okay. Jump on the four-wheeler. Oh, I bumped y'all. I guess we'll start with this side since the lighting on the other side is so bad. Go ahead and get this cut. I never see a Mustang with rusted rockets. Right here, that's one of them. Alright, so this right here is a major problem. Watch this. Do y'all see that moving? That's what your door closes against. So obviously, this has got to be fixed. It needs this whole post put in it. I don't have these posts here. And I know if I tell him I need a post, he's just gonna give me the runaround. And I really don't want to hear it. So I guess what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna start fixing it. That's the only thing I know to do. The last person didn't fix it. All they did was cram the Bondo back in it and said it's good. I mean, Bondo don't fix rust holes, fellers. Especially the pink stuff you get from Walmart. All it does is swell up like a deadgum chia pet. Alright guys, I didn't want to do this, but it is what it is. Is this the right way to do it? No, it's not the right way to do it. Our way to do it would be complete, you know, completely replace this whole piece. But so I cut out all the rust, cut it all the way up to this point, all the way around, and then all the way up into here. And I just went here and I started replacing panels. I replaced this section, and then I replaced a piece that goes from here all the way over here and up. And then I put in this little triangle piece, and then I put in a little piece right here. Welded it all in solid, ground it down. You can see those little spots in between each weld. Those are little spot welds, tack welds. It's nice and solid all the way around. All I gotta do now is drill me some holes. 1, 2, 3, 4 holes. Spot weld, rosette weld through it. And this is all back like it was factory. I even rolled this edge over here like factory, just like it was with factory. Welded on the back side. I still gotta go in here and fix this part right here. I'm gonna go here and put a little piece of metal in there, make it come down and attach like it did from the factory, and then this will be back solid again. And it's already strong again. It doesn't move anymore. Remember before how it moved? It don't move anymore. It shakes the whole car, so we're good. Okay, so I just went to Lowe's. This is the type of screws that you guys probably should be using when you do your fastback conversion, just to hold stuff together. It's convenient. The Phillips head's convenient. These are 3/4 inch, number 8s, and they're fairly cheap. You get them at Lowe's. At least that's where I get them. Take your new drip reels that you're going to weld on the car, or if you've got a glass already, you can use your glass to go by. This is just to kind of give you an idea of how much of a curvature that you're going to need. But as you can see, the glass is, it's obviously up too high. That's because the glass is not down the door like it should be. But you can kind of get an idea. See, from about this point here, it starts rolling back. So what we want to do is, we're going to put us a cut right in here. And then we're going to put us a cut right in here. And we're going to start gradually bringing this upper structure down. So I'll measure where I make my cuts, and I'll let y'all know exactly where to put them. So normally what I do is I come in here where this little notch is. I come right behind it about 1 inch or so, and I will put my line, because right under this notch is where your headliner bows. Alright, from the factory. If you'll reach down and feel that, you'll feel 2 holes. That's your headliner bow hose. You do not want to cut through that. So come back about 1 inch or so from this point, and let's put us a mark. Now, that's exactly where it starts rolling, where you need to. If you look at this right here, you see how it's touching here, and then from this point on, it starts opening up. The gaps start opening up. So we're gonna put our next line. If you reach down, you remember that brace that used to be welded in it right here? We're going to go right in front of that brace, about 1 inch or so. Which should be right here. And I'm going to measure this so y'all know. And that right there will be all that we need to do. Now if I can find a tape measure. So, we'll get y'all measurement. So from this little notch right here, all these cars have this same notch. So from that notch, we're going to hang our tape measure on the back side of that notch, and we're at 1 inch. See that? So your first cut is going to be 1 inch back. So at 1 inch, draw your line. Your second cut, keep it on that notch, is going to be exactly at 13 inches. So your first cut, 1 inch, come on back, 13 inches, put your line. It's going to be just like that on both sides. See? Come back 1 inch, put your line. From here, come back 13 inches, put your line. This is going to be where we put our cuts. See this glass? See how we're almost touching right there at the line? Then it starts gradually fading down. That's why we're putting these cuts in it. Oh. Now the way we do this, you do not want to cut through here, and you do not want to cut through the bottom side of your structure. Let me take this loose where I can really show y'all. So we want to cut through the top and this side here, and we want to cut through the back side all the way down to this point here. We do not want to cut this or this, front or back. So we just want to cut through the top side, and I'll show you. So we're going to put our fine tooth sawzall blade in. And it is plenty enough to cut all the way through. So remember, we're going to cut our back one first. And we're going to cut it slowly, because we don't want it shaking everything around all over the place. Right here's where you got to be careful, because you got to cut just to that point there. Okay, I'm going to show y'all what that looks like. See, I came down, and then I stopped just before I got to the bottom. Same thing on this side. I came down to right there, and I stopped. That's all you need to cut. You see how that goes right into that hole right there? That hole was a spot weld. It's actually got the same spot weld on both sides, but they don't always tear through all the way. So that'll be bent down a little bit. This will be bent down a little bit. We're going to go ahead and do this cut now. It's best if you stand right in front of your blade so you can actually visualize it and cut it straight. Alright. So there it is. We got both our cuts. Now this side can be gradually bent down to the shape of your drip rails, or if you've got your glass, shape of your glass. You do not have to have the glass already in order to do this. The drip rails will kind of tell the tale. We're just going to lay this back up in here. This is not correct. It's actually up too high. And it's too far back. But we can actually start bending it now. So we're going to gradually bring this down until it's pretty well touching. And then we're going to bring this backside down. We're going to leave the middle alone. Alright. I think that's going to do it. Now if y'all look at this, now y'all can see that the glass follows that upper structure all the way back here at the back. Some's got a gap, some don't got a gap. It's on kind of this rubber. If I pop this rubber off, the gap would be the same all the way back. So now that we've got this bent down, you can look from one side to the other and you will see how much down it is. Y'all see that? See how that other side is sticking up and this side's down? That's how much difference there is between a coupe and a fastback. So now this side is pretty well in the right shape. We can go over and do the other side. Alright guys. So I've went ahead and I have stuck the drip rail in place. And I want y'all to take note of this right here because this is very important. I put it back in the stock location and as you can see, this thing is dangerously close to the door right here. You do not want to paint your car and then be chipping paint off. Then when you go to put your drip rail moldings on, it'll be rubbing the paint off. You do not want that. So at this point, you want to take this back off and cut this off about 1/4 of an inch shorter. So you want this to actually be up to here. And you want to cut it off at an angle. You don't want it straight down like this. You want it to be parallel with the top of the door. So cut it off. When I say 1/4 of an inch, I mean you're going to be up 1/4 of an inch at the back. And you're going to go to that point on the front. And that's going to give you plenty of clearance. So you'll carry it all the way around to the other edge. As you can see, we got a pretty good gap. All the way down and around. Got a TV on in there if I need to cut it off. What you're going to do is you're going to scoot this thing all the way forward till it lines up with the original structure right here. See this line right here? That's where you want to line up these drip rails. That's the factory location. The factory paint line under there lines up. It's all factory. Factory locations. I am just below the top edge of the structure. That's where this thing falls. It's right below. When it starts to roll off, that's where the top of this thing lands. In other words, you want it to be flush on the bottom. I ain't got very good lighting, but this and this needs to be flush all the way across everywhere. You don't want this thing hanging down or this right here hanging out down too far. And then when you're all said and done, this right here will be flush with this too. This will push up and this will be flush. So that's pretty much it. We're also going to be cutting this down, I'm sure. By the time it's all said and done, this will probably be too long. So I'll cut it and taper it down that direction. So, we got screws in this just temporarily because we're just screwing stuff into place. It's all temporary. Right now would be a good time to go ahead and cut this right here down. See the way this here comes down? It's got a factory edge on this right here. I cut it off straight across right there. Same thing. Straight across here, straight across here. And just make sure that this old structure doesn't get close to our new quarter and damage it. Well, I'm hoping that this thing just goes right up in place without no problems. Let me get some screws in you before you decide to fall apart again. I always start in the door jamb. Get my screws in my door jamb. I'll get the quarter. I'll get that quarter right there as close to that rocker as I can possibly get on this front edge. If you can't get that gap right there completely closed up right here, then you're either going to have to put a jack on the rear end and jack the back of the car up, or let the rear end and the rear frame rail sag down, We're going to see if I can do this one with the weight of the car on the ground. Sometimes we get lucky. But on this car, probably no bueno. It's probably not going to work. It's been a turd. It'd have been any other car. It done been all fastback. A long time ago. I spent this morning rebuilding this top of this taillight panel. Because it was completely gone. It was made out of soffit. Or the metal flashing that you use on your house. Somebody bent it over about 4 times and pop riveted it onto the taillight panel and called that a lip. I done built all this back out of metal. We gotta try and get this down. That looks pretty good right there. I must have done something right yesterday. Alright. That looks good. Heck yeah. Now we're going to push that all the way in. Assuming I've got that in the right spot. I did hand make that piece. You want to make sure it's pushed all the way in as far as you can get to go in. Oh yeah, it's looking good. Shoot, that fits great. Put the screw right here. All these carpenter bees are killing me. They won't leave my shop alone. Okay, so we put the quarter on. We put screws on the inside. We've got that pulled up tight to the door jamb or the B-pillar. We've got the door just out pretty good. The striker still needs to go in just a little bit, but as you can see, it's got a good gap. Everything looks pretty good. It's tucked up in here nice. The wheel well looks, the outer wheel housing looks good. I'm not going to go into wheel housings. It's pretty self-explanatory. Cut your old housing off, put your new housing on, line up your line-up hose. Screw it in place first. Don't just weld it on and assume it's going to work. Screw it in place first. Try, retry, test fit, fellas. I even suggest leaving it in there loosely. Whenever you put your quarter on, that'll help get everything kind of where it needs to be. And then just simply come in here and throw you a clamp on it right there. Then take the quarter back off and weld it. No big deal. I'm going to show you now these pieces here. This right here looks like this because I had to go in here and cut this whole top of this taillight panel out because it was all rotten. Somebody made all the top of this out of flashing like what goes on a house. They folded it over like 4 times and mashed it flat and had pop riveted it to this outer edge. So I went in here and I welded steel back in it. And once this right here is welded, it's just a little bit of body filler. You'll never ever know it was there. Or green glass. But these things are a little bit finicky. They're a little bit aggravating. And they're not, no two of them's cut the same. I actually had to go in here and trim the end off this side. So if you put yours on and it looks like it's sticking out here and it's up here, it's nothing you've done wrong. It's just these things are cut, stamped weird. What you doing, buddy? Well, play, buddy. Go play on your trampoline. So what you want to do first, before you put this on, or before you screw this down, is shove it up in under this quarter panel. Just go ahead and loosely shove it up under it. Then what you want to do is get you a clamp that'll go in here and clamp it right here. I used this right here. I went in on the back side, pulled it up there, and I clamped it. Then I put a screw in it. That's how we did it, ain't it, Dean? But, yep. So we pulled it tight. Rule of thumb for me is about. Well, you can make videos if you want. About 1/4 of an inch is what I normally do right here beside this little raised area. About 1/4 of an inch usually gets me by. It's thin right here because the taillight panel's gone back here. I got to go in here and do a little bit more patching. But I'm just test fitting stuff right now. I got to take this back off. When I get it back off, I'm going to weld a piece in there. But go in here and put your screws. Get it pulled up there. Get this pulled up there good and tight. When you get that done, then you can really start focusing on this right here. This right here is always finished. It's always an aggravation for me. These quarters are always cut and stamped a little bit different. As you can see, this one kind of goes off that direction. The way this is cut, they really need to come down and veer off this way a little bit. And they've cut a little bit much off of it, but it's okay. It won't matter. So, get it in place. Once you get that clamped, then move your clamp over here and do the same thing right here. You're going to put the clamp right on the point right there, and you're going to pull it tight and sandwich the two panels together right here, right on this part, and you'll put your screw. So essentially you've screwed this to your taillight panel, and now you're screwing your quarter to your corner. Once you get all this right here screwed, then come up here. Make sure before you put this screw in that this is lined up right here. You don't want to put a screw in this right here and this be cocked this way or this way. You want this right here to flow right straight and then turn right into that. You don't want it cocked this way or this way. So if everything's looking good, push you some screws right here to hold this part. Usually I'll take vice grips and I will clamp it right here and squeeze this part in on this piece, because it actually goes in up under this quarter. So put you some screws there. Once you get that done, you can come in here and put your clamp and put you some screws right in here. What I normally do is, like, I'll come beside this, I'll drill me a hole, and then I'll clamp it and I'll rosette weld through it, and then I'll come over and I'll take this screw out. Yep. It just needs charged, buddy. That's all that's wrong with it. So once I get that welded, I'll go over and I'll drill this out bigger and I'll weld it. I'll do the same to all these. You can try to drive it, but I think it's dead. But before y'all do any welding, do not weld nothing until we get this whole car assembled and we put our rear valance on and our deck lid. Because you can get these quarters this way or this way. So we want to assemble all of this, lower valance and everything, before we weld anything. But this is what this should look like right here. This right here is just setting on. I just kind of tested it just to see how far off my gaps was. I always put the vice grips under here and pull this tight, close this gap up. I recommend going to Harbor Freight and getting you some of these, because they work perfect on the underside of this panel. You can put these on the underside and it will close up that gap. I don't know if I'll be able to do it one-handed. Probably not. Watch it close up the gap. I ain't gonna do it one-handed. See? Gap is now closed up. That's what you want. We don't need that on there yet. So I went ahead and I started welding these on. Because actually I've done set my roof skin on there and checked it. But I went ahead and I just tack welded it across the top to hold it in place. And I've come in here and I've spot welded it also. And that's plenty. I mean, it's first could come in here. It's just welded here. It's welded here, 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 here. I'll probably come in here and put me another spot weld here, 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 and that'll be plenty. But I'm just test fitting stuff right now. Nothing's really welding solid except for this. I went ahead and started welding on these. I ran out of gas. I think I got a hole in my line. I gotta get some more gas. But in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and drill my hose so I can start welding that up. I'm also going to weld some metal right here, little strips, and weld it in solid all the way around. Then I'm going to take these screws out, and then I'll weld those screw holes up. Put itself together, didn't it, guys? Okay, so this is a very, very important step. I see a lot of people make this mistake, and then their back glass hole is too large. Always, always shove this right here back as far as you can shove it back on the front edge. Both sides. Shove it as far as back as you can. And then clamp it. This always varies from side to side. You might have a wider gap here between this stamped area and the quarter than the other side. That doesn't mean nothing. That's just the way it's stamped. Back, snap her down. We are good to go. I got a little trick for pulling this right here up, because if you just put a clamp on this and then just clamp it down, what it's going to do is it's going to shove the roof skin inward, and of course the strip rail is not going to move, so you're going to have a big old wide drip rail gap here, and then you'll have a narrow gap here and a narrow gap here. It'll look terrible. Your roof's going to have a big bow in it, and it'll cause you to have to do a lot of body work, and you do not want to do that. I'll show you the trick here in just a minute. Okay, so these drip rails are kind of flattened out. From here to here, you can see it's kind of flat, and that's wrong. We want it to be kind of curved, the same shape as our roof skin. So what you got to do is you just have to massage it up. That looks great. Well, that looks great. I'm going to go do the other side. And it's really flattened out. I don't know how I'm going to capture this on. It's in one of my YouTube videos. I think it's called How to Align Your Roof Skin or something. I'm not real sure how I worded it. I'm not real good with wording stuff on YouTube, if you haven't figured that out yet. So, this is what I'll do. Use a drill bit, but I use the self-tapping screws. So if you just pull it down, I'm going to show you what it does if you just pull it straight down. Let me find the clamp. Get y'all off this stand where I can really show you. Now, if you just take your clamp, you see how that's narrow? That's a nice narrow drip rail right now. Now, if you take your clamp and you put it in there, and you just try to clamp it down, I want you to watch what it does. You see that? If you clamp that down, your drip rail is now wider than my finger, and it's skinny up here, and it's touching. So if you clamp it right there, it's touching. It's not going to move, and it's touching back here at the back. So you cannot do that. I've seen way too many people do that like that, and that will not work. That's incorrect. So what you have to do is you have to drill a hole in the top, and you have to angle it and drill it down through your bottom. and then run your screw from the bottom up to the top, so when it tightens down, it's going to pull the roof skin down in this direction. And it's going to pull it down closer to the edge of the strip rail. That's the only way to get this to fit right, guys. I'm going to do it real quick and I'll show you how I did it. Those Dynacorn bodies that y'all buy, guess what? That's how the drip rails are, screwed up. Instead of using a drill bit, I'll drill my bottom hole, kind of offset from my top hole, and it's basically doing the same thing as what I just told y'all. I'll drill my top hole. And then I'm going to line up my screw with that hole. And I'm going to come slightly over just a little bit. I'm going to drill my other one. Now, I'm going to angle my screw, so that it'll come up through that top roof skin. Y'all see that? Now when I pull this down tight, it's not going to open up like that clamp did. You see that? It's the same now. I can just barely get the tip of my finger in here, and that's the way factory fastbacks are. You don't supposed to have a big old wide gap. You're supposed to just barely get your fingertip in there. It might be maybe 3/8 of an inch wide. I don't know. Let's go look at a real fastback, and I'll show you what a real fastback looks like. This is a real fastback that has not been monkeyed with. Well, it has been monkeyed with, but it hasn't been butchered up and cut up. Y'all see this? Y'all see I can just barely get my fingertip in here? And that's because it's got the chrome on it. If the chrome wasn't on it, it'd be just like that other one that we just did. It's about 3/8. Now I'm going to show you one that another shop done. You see this? You see this? You see that right there? That's because they just took their clamp and clamped it on here and tightened it down. Look at the way they welded it. The customer brought me this car to try to fix. You see that? You see how wide that gap right there is? I can stick my whole finger, my whole knuckle in there. That is wrong. Look at this garbage. Look at the way they welded their drip rails on. This whole car, I'm going to have to cut this whole car apart and fix it. Look at this. Look at this. Look at the door gap. You see the door gap? It ain't got one. There is no door gap. Look at this. Reckon you can put chrome on this car with a big weld right there? No, don't think so. Look at all this garbage, y'all. See this? This was not done by me. This car was brought to me like this. This car was also brought to me to fix, because other shops don't know what they're doing. That is a coupe. They just used the coupe corner and they butchered it up in a way that it would fit on the fastback. It's just butchered. Oh my goodness. I can feel in there, it's just butchered up. Y'all check this out. They welded the trunk hinges. They welded the trunk hinges directly to that panel right there. There is no adjustment. If you work it back and forth, you can break the trunk lid off. Right there's the trunk lid mounts right there. When I'm doing a coupe conversion and the customer doesn't want to pay the extra money for the trunk divider that has the fastback brackets welded on it, I will cut those original brackets off and I will relocate them up here and box it all in and make it strong. so that you can adjust your hinges up and down, in and out, the way you need to. This is garbage. Same way on this side. Big old wide gaps. Well, let's go back down here to ours. Like I said, I didn't do that car. We ain't gonna do no crap work like that. So, as you can see, mine is a lot better. Mine's just like the factory one. Nice and tight. Just barely get your fingers. Just like that real fastback. We may have to loosen this one up and do the same thing here, because it's trying to get a little bit wider right here, so I'll probably do that here also. We definitely don't want no big wide gaps. Alright, I'm gonna show y'all something. It's only on the black quarter panels. If you get the black quarter panels, they're not Dynacorn. See how this metal's all wadded up? Right here. It's all wadded up. It's actually got this edge. This edge is rolled down. So when you go to try to put your filler panel on, this edge right here is actually going to be sticking up above this edge. And there's no way to get it to line up right unless you cut you a little relief right here, stick your flat blade screwdriver in here and twist your screwdriver, and it's actually going to raise this up just a little bit when you do that. It don't take a whole lot to do this. See how they got it all wadded up? You just cut right in between this somewhere, put your slit in it, put your screwdriver in there, twist it, raise it up, weld your gap up. I'm going to show you Dynacorn quarters, how they're not like that. Well, we're going to say it's not like that as bad. So this is nice and smooth. It got a little bit of a dent right there. But I promise you, the Dynacorn quarters, this right here is going to be lined up just perfect. It will be right, I promise you. Okay guys, as you can see, I have got some boards screwed in here. And this is just temporary. These won't be staying in here. This is just what I do is I cut a board a little bit longer from here to here. These boards are 16 inches long. I will put them in place at an angle. So in other words, $16 long and lay in there sideways. I'll run me a screw down through it right here. That screw is just to keep the board from kicking out. Then, to bring the body of this car up or down, right now it's down, so to bring it up, all you do is pop the bottom of this in. And we want this to be 17 inches from the bottom of this to our trunk floor. 17 inches. So right now, we are 17 and 7/8. So we need to come up a little bit. Now, we're 1/16 of an inch away from 17. Here needs to come up just a smidge. I'll bring this side up a little bit more. If you run out of room knocking it that way, you can knock it back, and I'll actually lift it that way also. Now we're at 17, dead on the money. So here's our measurements. We have got, do not measure from this lip. It's different from here to here. It's actually narrow on this side than it is on this side. Hang your tape measure on this lip right here. Make sure you can see which lip I'm talking about. So that lip, front edge, hang your tape measure, come down. We are 21 and a half. 21 and a half. 21 and a half. So 21 and a half from this edge to this edge right here. Now, our next measurement is going to be our back glass measurement. Let's see what it comes out to. It's supposed to be 42 and an eighth. We are 42 and an eighth. Perfect. Our next measurement is supposed to be 33 and a quarter, I think, or an eighth. Quarter's a little bit fat. We want it to be 33 and an eighth. So I'm gonna make sure y'all can see what I'm doing here. So, and these are factory measurements I'm giving you. So from where it's still kind of straight, but right before it starts to roll down, put your tape measure right up against that. Come right up against your filler panel, and you want it to be 33 and an eighth. We are 1/16 away from that, so we're close. See what we got over here. We are 33 and an eighth, right on the money. That side right there is a 1/16 a little bit wider than this side. That don't matter. Let's exit out. Go right up there in that corner. We'll go to this corner. We'll go this corner. Should be 54 and an eighth. We are 54 and an eighth. So now we're going to go to this corner. Should be 54 and an eighth also. So from this corner to this corner, we are 54 and an eighth, dead on the money. So right now, this car is measuring out just exactly like a factory fastback would measure out. But I guarantee that those fiberglass deck lids is not going to fit. They never fit. They ain't going to stop us from trying though, so we'll stick it up there and see. The metal deck lid would go right on this car right now. It ain't off too bad. This gap is a little bit wider than I would like, but I guarantee you that if I put a factory deck lid up here, it would probably fit perfecto. I don't like this sticking up right here, but there ain't a whole lot I could do about that. Fiberglass. What are you doing, honey? Well, he's down here. What's it looking like? These deck lids are garbage. I'll put it on there. I can't help it. It don't fit. This is what the guy brought me. He should have brought me a little bit better deck lid. Looks like the middle, this could be down. A lot of times it is. Y'all see the center? These centers are always down. What I like to do is, I'll show you what I do. Bring me your ball, Ellie. Oh God, I hit you right in the side, Ellie. I'm sorry. Let me go find my persuader. Well, this is how we persuade the metal. You're going to put this bar right under this hump. Or put something like this bar. You're going to rest it on your old package tray. Right in the middle. And then you're just going to work this panel up. I know it looks like we're doing damage, but we're really not. We're going to remeasure everything just to make sure we ain't goofed nothing up. Still 17. 17. We're good. The middle might fit a little better now. Probably not, but it might. I've always had to bend it up like that. That's nothing new. But The silver ones, the Dynacorn ones, are a little better. That's a little better, but it's still down, y'all. It's the deck lid. It ain't the metal. It's the sole deck lid. If I had a different deck lid, I'd stick a different one on it just to show y'all it's not the metal. It's the deck lid. I'll go find a metal deck lid and come back and show you the difference between a good metal deck lid and this garbage. Alright guys, so I just went over and got a factory style deck lid, and as you can see, it fits perfectly. Take it over. And that's just because I can't hold it up where it goes. These hinges bolted on. Hold it up where it goes if it's good. So that just goes to show you that those fiberglass deck lids, they're just garbage. The metal ones fit great, guys. I'm trying to hold it in such a way that it fits. So now we know it's nothing to do with the metal, it is the fiberglass. Just like I thought. So it's a good idea to have you a deck lid. A good quality one. If you're going to go with like an Eleanor style, or Shelby style, I should say, body kit, get one of the better deck lids off of eBay or CJ Pony Parts or Kentucky Mustang. I think United Pacific on eBay sells them too. Seems like they're fiberglass on top and metal on the bottom, and they fit great. This car is now officially to the point to where I can go around and weld. Well, I need to check my valance. That's the next step, guys. Check your valance. Make sure you got good gaps on both sides. If you do, start welding this thing up. Go around, put your hose everywhere. You know, drill you some hose, weld through your hose, drill hose, weld through your hose. Get her all welded up, guys. I shouldn't have to show you how to weld a car up. If you can get it to this point and get it cut up, you should be able to weld it up. Drill your hose, weld through it. I drill from the top on this one. I can get in there and I can weld it from the top, and then I can take my little angle grinder and grind my welds down. But you can do it from the bottom too. Drill your hose, weld it all up. Drill your hose. I shouldn't have to tell you how to weld it. Once you get all that done, and once I get all the outside welded up, I'm going to show you how I go in here and I do the inner structure. So that'll be next. Alright guys, so here's the next step. Take you some flat, I think it's either 18 or 19 gauge steel. Pretty much the same thing as what's on the car. Having just those scrap pieces. I got a show playing on the TV. Too lonely down here by myself without something going. So I think it's about 15 inches, yeah. I come about 15 inches long and 2 inches wide. And what this is going to be used for is to go in here on the inside. This one go on the inside like this right here. This one give you your lip. Just like that lip that's hanging down, it's going to be this lip. Well, the problem is you got to make that turn right there. So in order to make that curve right there, you've got to have a shrinker and stretcher, or you could cut slits in it. Did it the old school way and just cut you a bunch of slits in it and bend it over that way. But chances are you can go to Harbor Freight and just get you a shrinker stretcher. Overlook the mess in here. I know it's messy. This is kind of like a catch-all room at this point. Let's see here. I think that one is the stretcher, so this one's the shrinker. And you don't really want to make this lip right here no more than a half an inch. Half inch is plenty. If you do make it any more than a half inch, these little old Harbor Freight shrinker stretchers will not work. And I'm going to show y'all a little trick to doing this. First, we need to figure out exactly where we want our bend. I'm going to go and turn that TV off also. Okay, so what we're going to do is, this is here, this is the way it would go on the car with the lip turned out this way. It's about a half inch lip. We're going to go down a few inches, about 3 inches. That's where we're going to start putting our curve. We're going to start curving it up. These little things don't work all that great. So what I like to do is, I'll put a little bit of heat on the metal sometimes, or put a pipe on the thing, but it'll bend these bars. So introduce a little bit of heat to your part. You can see we done got some curve. We're starting to stretch it, or shrink it, I mean. I'm heating it up because this lip's a little wider than these shrinker stretchers like to shrink or stretch. You don't have to add heat, it just makes it easier on the tool and it makes it easier on you. We'll try that. Why it pops like it? So you can see we got a little bit more curvature. I think I'm gonna whoop out the big guns here. Oh, get back in there. As you can see, now we got quite a bit of curvature. I've done so many of these, I can tell I need to keep on trucking around with it. Alright, we're going to take it out there and just check it. Okay, so it'll simply drop in like this. And you see this is going to go up inside here like this. It's going to tuck in behind that drip rail, go up under your inner structure, and then pop right into place. It should look something like that. First try, boys and girls. Pretty cool, ain't it? Now, we're also going to put a curve right here. If you look, you see how this is kind of curved and this is just straight. So what I normally do is, this is what I normally do. Oh, I'll usually put me a slit. Come up a little bit, put you a slit. Come up a little bit, put you another slit. And that'll actually allow you to put you a little bit of a curve in it, like this right here. Because that's too much for the shrinker stretcher. It won't bend it. And that's one way you can get your curve in it. Because you do have to put some curve in it because you want it to match the curve here. Because as you can see, that's touching there. Big gap there. You want this to have the same curve as your drip rail. But that's all there is to it, guys. Just put that in there. Put that in behind it. Slide it up under your inner structure. Easy peasy. Alright, fellas, as you can see, I got one clamping it in place. I got my slits in it, and God, you can't see nothing. I'm sorry for that. As you can see, it's curved the same way as the drip rail. It's touching up here. I can weld all this in solid up here. As you can see, I put a little notch in it right here, and that is to help it kind of clear some of that stuff. You kind of want all this right here lined up, like this point and that to be lined up. That's the way a lot of them works out. This is actually bent. This car's, I don't know what the deal is with it, but that's bent and that's bent. I'm going to straighten it up so all this lines up. But at this point, you can actually go in here, you can drill your hose, and then go in there and weld all this up. You weld this piece to this piece. I'm sorry for the lighting. Yeah, go in there and drill you some holes. Weld the piece you just made to your drip rail. Then we'll go in there and we'll make our inner panel. Alright. Oh. So it's time to do the inner structure. Part that goes in there. So I've got my little template that I made out of cardboard. Y'all can do the same thing. Make it out of something thinner first and then transfer it to something thicker like this maybe. And I always just cut it out of my old roofs. Lots of metal right here in these roofs. I should cut it in a way that it's going to be rolled towards the quarter panel for strength. Always slide it up as far as I can so I can use this back piece also. This is the way I do it. Always push my pattern down and then spray paint my pattern onto my roof. Y'all get the idea, right? Right. Alright, I've got all my little template patterns painted onto my roof. This one is to tie the filler panel, the new filler panel, into the old filler panel. That's going to give this car strength side to side, up and down. And of course, this is the inner structure for the sides. So it'll be welded to the old inner structure of the coupe, and it'll also be welded to the outer structure of the coupe or the fastback. Be strong, Mrs. Gump. Allergies. Alright, y'all see that? Probably not. Light sucks out here. That's roughed in. It's just roughed into place. As you can see, the old filler panel is still there. It's going to stay there on this car. You could cut that out completely and just put you a flat piece of steel in here and then turn it and go up. Be nice and pretty. Put you some ribs in it though, like some bead rolls, so it won't be flopping in and out. You don't want the tin can effect. This mocked up into place. I'm going to show you what I've done. I do bend the edge on it, a lip, to give my back glass. I'll show you. Maybe. You might not be able to see it. You see how this right here comes up and then it turns and goes this way. So I'll half inch on the top. I'll take those flat vice grips and I'll just bend it down ever so slightly, just a little bit, on about a 45-degree angle, all the way up to this point right here, and then leave it straight, because right here's where our roof brace is going to go. I just got it out of a piece of plastic and I've lost it. So you put your roof brace in place and just clamp it, then put these panels over it. And then we're going to weld all this to our roof brace. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to weld this to this solid. I'm going to weld it down through here. I'm going to push this too and weld it solid. I'm going to weld as best I can back in there. And then we're going to plug weld this. And then we're going to, once we put that panel back there, all this is triangulated and then it can't go nowhere. Oh. We're also going to put some straps on it right here. Weld this to it. You can still cut this out and put your side scoops here if you want to, your side louvers. Alright, y'all can kind of woo, spray some paint on that so y'all can see it a little better. Everything was kind of like a rusty color. So it ain't pretty. It's welded. What it is, it's just a bunch of little tack weld or a bunch of little stitch welds all added together. So it's welded along here, down here, it's welded along that. I've welded along that. And then when I get back here at the back, I'm going to pull that old filler panel up, because now it's loose. You can pull it up and then weld it right along in there and weld that to that. So all this will be tied together. This is the way I did it up here. I just welded it all together. This will all get trimmed off. Like this side, so this side's nice and pretty and round. That'll all get trimmed off. You can see those spot weld holes, where I'll spot welded it together, or plug welded it together. Yep, all that'll get trimmed off. But that's pretty much what it's going to look like in here. If you want to put your original louvers, say like what a 68 bullet or like a 68 fastback, any fastback, 67, 68 fastback's got, you know, they got the plain old ugly louvers on the side. They're not ugly, but they're plain. You can still drill your hose through and still bolt it up. You can still do it just like factory. No big deal. If you really wanted to get technical, you can still put your vent and stuff in here too. I do a little hammer and dolly to get that to fit though. It can be done. I've done it before. Well, what we're going to do out here is out here what I normally do is I'll make me some little straps. So it'll weld them to this, bend straight down, and then weld to this. I'll put me a strap over this one, and a strap on this one, and it ties the inner and the outer together. Makes all this one uniformed part. Makes it real nice and strong. And since we left those panels in, this is now stronger than like a factory fastback would be. Factory fastback doesn't have none of that in there. It's all just a big open hole on a factory fastback. It's nice and strong. I ain't even got this welded yet, and it's strong. It ain't going nowhere. Oh God, dropped something. Yeah, like I said, this is loose, so see, we can actually take and pull this up to where it meets that panel. Of course you can't see it, but see, it'll push up. So that's what we'll do. We'll push it up and weld that to it solid. All that'll be uniform, and then all this will be hidden under a package tray. You'll never see this. But you could go in there and cut this out, get it out of your way, but I don't cut it out because this is really strong. This has an inner and an outer. That's a strong piece of metal right there. I just leave it in there. Like I said, I use a 1969, 69 or 70 fastback. The rear package tray, it starts here, and then it swoops up in the back. All you have to do is trim off the sides, and it'll go right in there. You can put some material over it, carpet, vinyl, whatever you want to do. Put your speakers back in it, and you're good to go. Simple. Put your coupe back seat back in it. What I normally do is I'll clean those panels right there off, and then get me some material, 3M like panel adhesive. Spray that, let it tack up. Put me some cloth on there or some vinyl, and then put my package tray in here. Put my back seat back in here. Paint my panels. Put my panels back on right there, and then all this back is done for like cheap. And it's actually functional. If you've ever sat in the back of a real fastback, you know that there's no headroom, there's no leg room. So this is a lot better. Alright guys, so remember how I said don't throw that roof brace right there away? It makes for a really good strong support for your trunk hinges because it has these grooves in it. So that makes it strong. What I'll do is, I think it measures 10 inches from here, here, to here, to here. It's kind of cut at an angle. You're going to have to kind of experiment and to figure it out. It's pretty self-explanatory though, because you see how that's cut at an angle? And then when you cut this off, it's also cut at an angle. And what I normally do is, this is how I do it, guys. I will go ahead and I'll bolt my hinges to my trunk lid, both sides. Then I'll bolt my brackets that I cut off the car. I'll bolt them back to the trunk hinges. And then what I'll do is, I'll come in here, see if I can get this light to shine. And I will hold this hinge till it's right in line with this right here, your seam. And I will just temporarily tack weld it under your filler panel. You can go in here and you can grind this back off later on. But I temporarily tack weld this. And later on I actually come in here. There ain't really no point in grinding it off, because later on I'll come in here and I'll box this in, make it strong. I'll come in here and I'll make me a piece of metal. It'll come down, it'll weld to this area here. You don't want to weld it to your actual hinge, because you still want to be able to adjust your hinge. So it welds to this, and then I triangulate it up to this point. So I'll weld it to the quarter, I'll weld it along in here. So it'll just be a great big triangle. That triangulates it, And then you take your piece that you just cut and you fix it in such a way that it'll lay in here just like that right there. See how that lays against that old hinge? You'll clamp this to this and you'll weld this solid to this. And then you can actually take you some pliers and bend this over. And it'll look just like the factory brace did. You bend it over and weld it. And, I mean, you'll really never even know. I mean, unless you just flat knew what you were looking at. And then, of course, you'll weld it. You'll weld it down there to your wheel tub solid all the way down. Then you're going to weld it right here solid all the way down. And then by the time you do that, you triangulate this. Sometimes I'll come in here and once I get my filler panel right here, my brace from here to here, I'll come here and I'll make me a little L bracket. And it'll tie in to my piece that's here, not here yet. It'll tie from here, it'll L down and then weld to the back of to this trunk hinge bracket here. And so it ain't going nowhere, that's for sure. It's actually better than what it was before. But that's the way I do it. I know I'm not real good at explaining it. So, you're going to box it in. So that's going to tie all of your hinge to your car. And then you're going to weld your sport from here down to your wheel tub just like it was from the factory. The only thing that wouldn't be like the factory would be back at the back where you're going to have to put your little T in there somewhere to tie into this. So that's it. If you use the factory rear upper panel, it's a heck of a lot easier, guys. I recommend using the rear upper panel. Even if you use the coupe interior, still use the factory fastback rear upper panel. Because, man, it makes it so much easier. I'll show you what it looks like. You won't have to hand make anything if you'll just buy this piece right here. You buy that right there. It lays in between your wheel tubs. Your filler panel actually goes on that side there, on the other side. And of course your trunk hinges bolt to it also. Your trunk hinges will bolt to it right there. The filler panel goes on this side here. And of course this is like fastback back seat area, but of course you don't have to use that if you don't want to. I recommend going that route. That's the way I go on all the other customers' cars. This customer here just chooses to go the cheaper route. So that's the way we're going to go. That's the way I do it. Once you get that kind of figured out, then you go in here and you weld this piece here in. It's pretty self-explanatory. You're just welding a piece of sheet metal from this point up to this point. Simple. Alright guys. As you can see, I've got that panel welded in. All I done was I simply took that original lip, which would have been the lip that your weather strip rests against when your deck lid was closed on the coupe. All I did was I hammered it back so that it's at the same angle as our fastback now. This angle here, I just hammered that back. I let this panel rest against this panel. I simply went there and put me a few stitch welds. You can go in there and you can weld that sucker up solid. You can go on the back side and weld this up solid. And it ain't going nowhere. The sucker's not going nowhere. You've got your lip for your rubber all the way around. It's welded over there. It's welded down through there. What I done on the sides was, as you can see, I bent it over. You really can't see. Let's try to tie everything together. If there's a hole, fill the hole. Fill the void. Did you see the way I bent that right there over? This is actually this. It's just I bent it over in such a way that it's at the same angle as this. So that when I put this on, it's folded over and it's welded to that. So all this is tied together now. As far as my trunk hinges go, let me see if I can get a light plugged up and I'll show you. I don't know if I've shown you that or not. Let me put you down for a minute. Okay, as you can see, the trunk is hinged. I put those gussets in it. See how I triangulate it, welded it all the way around. It's like that on both sides. Of course, you can't see that side. And you see I've got this piece in. I'm sorry for the lighting. My lighting around here sucks. See the way I got that piece in there? See how this has got groove? See how that's got those ribs in it? Those are factory from Ford. This is that roof brace. See? Those almost line up perfect. So all I done was just made this brace, this factory brace. All I've really done was just extended it down to its factory location, and I welded it in right there. all the way across, and I welded in right here all the way across. And then of course it's welded right here. And now that I got that filler panel in there, I'm just gonna go in there and make me a little T. Oh, make me a little T where I can go in. Freaking light, can't see nothing. Make me a little T where I tie it in from there, and then I'll T right into the back of this hinge, and that'll just help triangulate it even more. It really don't need, I mean, it don't move at all. I mean, it shakes the whole car when you try to move the deck lid. So it don't need it. So that's how you do that. These old fiberglass deck lids, they don't fit the best in the world, but so what I'm going to do now is, I'm not going to explain to y'all how to do it, but the original trunk rods that came out of the coupe, which is right here, I'm going to cut them down and weld them back together. I know they're spring steel, but you can cut it and weld it back together. I'm going to cut so much out of it, put it back together, and I'm going to put them back in, and then it'll keep the deck lid up like it's supposed to be. So you can put the trunk hinges, the springs back in. So at this point, this car is now fastbacked. It's all completely done. This is optional. This spring is optional. You don't have to have it. You could actually put a shock in there, a really light duty shock. My dad does that a lot. But it's all welded everywhere. I could go in here and weld some more in here if I really wanted to. It really don't have to be. I can go in there and seam seal all that, and then go in there and paint it like I did this other side. It'd be nice. It'd be pretty. That's out there slicked up and painted. This is solid. This car ain't going nowhere now. We're good to go. It's solid. Doors open and close good. Door gaps look good. Grip rails look good. All that looks good. All of our gaps look good. We're welded across the front. Now you got to cut those little tabs off. Those little tabs, just cut them off flush, both sides. So this car is essentially ready to be body worked and painted and put the rear and tear panels back in. Simple as falling off a tree, guys. Do this in one weekend. You're going to have a hole right here that you're going to have to fill. I just take a piece of sheet metal and I just fill that hole. I'll bend it over and bend it up and just weld it in there. It ain't got to be pretty. Weld it in there, grind it down, and body work it. The door opens and closes good. This car is ready for paint body work. That's going to be it for this video, guys. I'm sorry it's so long, but a lot of you have asked for a complete start to finish series on how to build a coupe to fastback conversion the cheap way with the coupe interior package tray. So this is it. This is how you do it. The only other variable would be that panel right there. That'd be the only other thing you could do to make it even better. If you put that in there, it's 10 times better. So that's it, guys. That's the video. Please like, share, and subscribe. Till next time.